Welcome everyone to Digital Marketing, bringing it all together. This is the final digital marketing session of the day, and hopefully you learned a lot. You've learned a little bit about Google and slaying that social media dragon and Amazon and how to sell online. So hopefully this one kind of brings it all together for you on how to actually execute on all of that. I also will be talking a little bit about email marketing and how important that is out of the whole social media world, and what that tell you about. That is the best ROI out there of any digital marketing tool. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. A little about myself. I am, name is Patty Ross, Golden State Marketing, and I do teach all over the country. In addition to SCORE Seattle, I am actually located in Los Angeles, California right now, but I do teach for SCORE Seattle, and they invited me to attend and present at this BizFair online. So I'm happy to be here. I do have two brothers up in the gorgeous state of Washington who work for Boeing. So do have a Washington state connection as well. I've been in the e-commerce online space, as you could see, since 1998. Worked for a gourmet gift basket company that was a traditional catalog and retailer. And they started their online business, and I took it to $1 million plus when it was brand new and internet sales and e-commerce were just starting out. So been in the game for quite a while. I do work with all kinds of businesses, as you can see here. I've been in the wine industry for about 17 years, but I also help all types of businesses, restaurant shops and tattoo and medical spa and medical devices, so a little bit of everything. And I do love teaching marketing as well. As you can see here, I do teach, as I mentioned, for multiple SCORE chapters, chambers, trade groups, and private groups across the country. So happy to be here today to talk about marketing and bringing it all together. So let's get started here. So, as you learned today in your various other sessions that happen, world of marketing is quite big, as you can see here. You learned about social media and online sales and your web, how to build a great website. But look at this big world, right? You have the traditional side, radio, TV, billboards, print ads, promotional products, public relations, all kind of traditional marketing. And of course, the ever expanding world of digital, social media and email marketing and SEO and text marketing and Wi-Fi marketing. Oh my. So where do you go to, where should you be? Where should you spend your time and money when you're doing marketing, right? That's a big confusing world. Your customers are not everywhere. Your budget is limited. So really making sure that, you learn before you spend on where the best place it is for you, what your budget will allow. So I know it can be an overwhelming world. And of course, I always say, what is marketing? And I'm sure you learned today in some of the other sessions if you attended them. Marketing is just the process of telling your customers, potential customers, what you do, what your product or service is, and it's telling them over and over and over again, consistently, right? It's not a one and done. You don't place one ad and put up one social media post or send one email, and then you're done, unless you're lucky enough to go viral quickly, right? So most of us aren't that lucky. So it's basically marketing is telling people what you do over and over and over again in whatever mechanism that you're going to use, whatever one of those marketing tools you're going to use. So as Ben Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're already planning to fail. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be one of those companies that does this. You kind of throw that spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. Or do this, what we call in marketing, spray and pray, right? Shoot the bullets or fling the arrows and hopefully pray that you get that bullseye, right? But all of those holes there represent your time and your money, right? And none of us like to waste any of that, right? So we don't want to do that. We do actually want to have a plan in place before you do anything, right? So here's the typical buying cycle, right? Brand awareness, you're trying to get new customers out there. So you have to build your brand awareness, get out there, social media, whatever it's going to be, billboards, radio. And then in that cycle, the customers are, they find you, they do some research, they're looking for a particular product or service. They do maybe some comparisons of companies, of prices, et cetera. Then they make the purchase. And then hopefully you retain them, right? It's all about gain and retain. Unless you're in a business where you're one and done, they purchase your product, you never see them again. It's always about gain and retain, right? You bring new customers in, they're aware of you, and then you are trying to always retain them in some way. So that's the buying cycle. and why you need a marketing plan. So definitely, as I mentioned, reason number one, it maximizes your budget and return on investment. It creates consistency, and you'll hear that word a lot with marketing, as I mentioned, over and over and over again. You want to be consistent across the board and throughout the year with your marketing. It encourages deeper thought about your business and marketing. So, whether we're in this pandemic we've been in for the last year, almost 2 years, or before that or after that, you always want to make sure that your business is going in the right direction. People are still interested in what you do. And is there anything you can do better? So it definitely having that marketing plan in place encourages that deeper thought. And then, of course, it unifies your team. If you have staff, you want to make sure you're always on the same page with any aspect of your business, but especially with marketing, that you're all talking the same talk and walking the same walk, right? So, and then it actually just improves your chances of actually accomplishing your marketing goals if you actually write them down, right? So this is my marketing strategy circle. I'll briefly talk about each of these today and why it's important to have that marketing plan. So basically setting goals, and in this case, we use SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, and time-based. So you want to make sure that you set at your goals and know what you're trying to accomplish before you actually go out there and spend time doing your marketing, right? And buyer personas. Who are your customers? Who are your ideal customers? A lot of times I talk to business owners and they're like, oh, I cater to men or women, and they don't really know what age, what particular stage they are in life. Who are they really? Are they business owners? Are they executives? Are they just starting off? There's a lot of things that you can measure on buyer personas and who your actually customer is, so you're not wasting your time and money in the wrong place, right? And then doing some basic SWOT analysis on your business, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And also, what is your unique selling proposition? So I'll talk about those in a minute. And then what is your story? What's your messaging, your branding? What do your visuals look like? And are they speaking to the right audience, to your right people at the right place in the right time, right? And then channels, that's the fun stuff, right? Where you're going to spend that time and money, right? Your social media, your email, your website, whatever it is you're going to use for your channels. That's step 5. And then the tactical plan, having an actual plan in place to execute, setting a budget, who's going to do all of this stuff, what tools are you going to need to use to execute on your marketing plan. And then, of course, always, always, always measuring and optimizing, looking under that hood and seeing what the numbers are, having some benchmarks, and then making sure, is this actually working? Just because you have a few more engagements on social media and you have 100 more followers on your Instagram page, are they converting? Are they doing anything? Are people going to your website and actually, checking it out, right? So these are the steps of the strategy circle. This particular session, I don't do my usual full marketing plan class. It's a lack of time, but I'll just briefly go over each of these steps to kind of get an idea of what should be involved in a marketing plan. So goals, right? That's step 1. What are your business goals versus your marketing goals, right? So business goals might be your sales growth, your market share, deals, geographical reach, maybe how many employees you're going to have and what size building and what kind of growth you want to have overall, right? Marketing goals are about, getting leads and keeping your prospects engaged and getting media coverage and getting into new channels and conversion, right? Converting those leads and prospects into actual sales for you. So a little bit different. So figure out what your marketing goals are for your actual business. What are you trying to achieve with the marketing itself? Just bringing brand awareness, bringing sales in the door, keeping long-term customers, your customers. So a lot of different things to think about when it comes to your marketing goals. And then who are your customers, right? Not everybody is your customer, right? So really figuring out who they are, figuring out doing some buyer personas and what buyer personas are, kind of a semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer with using market research, but also looking at your current client base and seeing if you can build buyer personas from those, right? You potentially can, and that's basically what they are, just real data from your existing customers and ideal customer based on market research, right? And why should you create buyer personas? Why is that so important? Well, it meets the needs of each of your micro segments, right? You might be a business that you help out, say, younger people and older people. Do you talk to them in the same way online in your marketing? You could, some of you could, but most likely you want to speak to millennials different than you do baby boomers, right? Especially in visuals as well. And like I said, it creates more appealing content for each segment once you know. If you have both men and women, maybe you do marketing with men in the picture and speak their language versus women. So just making sure, and it does capture their hearts and minds and boost sales if you are speaking to the right people, right? It definitely would add consistency to your marketing strategy and, of course, generate higher quality leads once you are speaking to them personally, right? So these are some things to think about when you're building buyer personas. It's not just, oh, they're a certain age or a gender, marital status, or their education. You can look at things, who are they professionally? Who, when you think of your audience, close your eyes and think of who your ideal customer is. Is it a female that's an executive in the C-suite? Is it a middle manager, an entry-level person? Do they manage other people? What are their values and fears? What's important to them when they're considering a product like yours? What objections might they have? What are their personal and professional goals? And how could you help? Where are they? How do they communicate? What media do they consume? What social media do they use? Which, if you know your buyer personas, you'll figure that out because they do hang out in different places, right? Are there negative things you want to consider? Are they too difficult, too expensive to support? Not enough budget? So you want to consider that as well when you're building those buyer personas, right? These are, again, semi-fictional representations of your ideal clients, right? So to give you an example, here's an animal shelter that they have to build buyer personas as well, right? So because they have different buyers or adopters that have different needs. So here's just one that an animal shelter could possibly come up with, right? Bachelor Bryce, right? Semi-fictional. He's, single. He's generally 30 to 50, relatively close to an animal shelter. He's happy, active lifestyle, stable job, but he's a little lonely, and he wants to maybe find companionship, stay fit and healthy, right? So what are the challenges for him? He loves animals, but is unsure if pet ownership is for him, doesn't know where to begin on the dog selection process. So what can the shelter do marketing wise for him, right? They can provide information on pet ownership, assist with matchmaking, right? Help him find the best furry friend for his personality and lifestyle. He's pretty active, so he probably won't like little pugs like I have that just like to lay around. They're not active dogs, right? So, and maybe a family wants a different dog than a young bachelor or an older couple, right? So here's just one potential buyer persona that they could market to, right? So again, that's how you build buyer personas and figure out, once you figure that out, then you go to figure out where they hang out, right? Where are they on social media, right? If you attended the social media class, I'm sure they told you where, Facebook is maybe a slightly older market than Instagram or Snapchat. LinkedIn's for business to business, email marketing. So there's a lot of different places that these different audiences hang out, right? And then the next step, SWOT analysis, right? If you've never done this for your business, you should in general. What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So strengths, what does your company do well? What do you do better than competitors? Do you have better in resources and assets, right? What are your weaknesses? Opposite, right? What does your company lack? What does your potential competitors do better than you? Do you have resource limitations? An unclear, unique selling proposition. That's definitely a weakness. What are your potential opportunities? Underserved markets could be fewer competitors in your area, emerging need for your products or services, right? And then of course, threats. Threats right now could be still COVID for you, emerging competitors, a changing regulatory environment. So really sit down, get a piece of paper, do a cross on it and do 4 little boxes and write down your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Here's an example of a restaurant, right? I have a restaurant client. These are pretty close, and this could be with COVID or without COVID, right? It's a pretty competitive business and risky business as well. But so restaurant strengths could be they have an excellent, well-trafficked location, good reputation in the community, seasonal menu, locally sourced. Weaknesses, if it's a single location, higher costs than comparable chain restaurants, limited reach for a single location, modest advertising budget, which means they're going to get less reach, and not currently using food delivery apps, right? Opportunities were, right, growing interest in locally sourced ingredients, seasonal menu keeps things interesting, potential for growth via food delivery apps, right, if they are not already doing that. Threats, of course, intensifying competition from established chains, uncertain economic environment, true or not with a pandemic, right? Rising costs of ingredients, that's definitely happening with COVID. And COVID, right, is a major threat, of course, still is for some restaurants, depending on what state you're located in, right? So building out to your SWOT definitely will help kind of get you more focused with your business and your marketing, right? And then your unique selling proposition. What is that? What does that mean, your unique selling proposition? Well, basically, if you look at this little Venn diagram here, it's a combination, of what your brand does well, right? What the consumers want and what your competitor does well, right? So you want to be in that winning zone, right? Clear point of difference that meets the needs, makes it even bigger for you. Losing zone, what your competitor does, what you do. Sorry, your competitor does what you do better than you. And risky, of course, competitive battleground. You don't want to be in that space. Don't really even want in the who cares, right? Nobody cares about what you do, what you sell, what service you're offering. You're just wasting your time, right? So you really want to be in that winning zone, what the consumers want and what your brand does well and does better than the competition. So some examples, Bomba socks, right? They are their whole unique selling proposition is for every item you purchase, they donate an item to the homeless, right? So that might not be for everybody. It's causal marketing, and they cost a little bit more. If you care about that, that's their unique selling proposition. You might be one that prefers to buy all their socks at Target in the 10-pack, but not pay, $50 for a couple pairs of socks just because they're donating a couple pairs, right? So some other unique selling propositions here, some of the older ones here, think of Federal Express as it used to be known back in the day, when their tag was when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight, right? That was only overnight. And at that time, it was the only overnight service. So for them at that time, many years ago, that was a unique selling proposition for them, right? So Domino's pizza delivered in 30 minutes or it's free because the kids are starving and mom and dad don't want to cook. So that was a unique selling proposition at the time. I don't think Domino's does that anymore. But that for them, everybody remembered, oh, Domino's, 30 minutes or it's free, right? Dandruff, right? Healthy, beautiful, dandruff-free hair. Everybody knows Head and Shoulders, right? Is only thing that they do is dandruff shampoo. All right, so that's their unique selling proposition. And all the shampoos out there, there might be other brands that do it, but Head and Shoulders, right, is Head and Shoulders above the rest when it comes to competitors for dandruff shampoo. And then here's a medical profession, late waiting times to see a doctor or dentist. So their unique selling propositions, we guarantee that we will never have to wait more than 15 minutes or your consultation will be free, right? So think about what different points of differentiation between you and your competitors. I talked to a local taco place, a taco shop that's been in Los Angeles County for 45 plus years, which alone, that could be a unique selling proposition. But if you can imagine here in Los Angeles, we have not millions, maybe hundreds of taco Mexican places here. And a lot of them are very good, and right down in your neighborhood. But when I was talking to them, in one of my classes, we were doing a unique selling proposition exercise. And she was thinking, okay, great, been in business for 45 years. That could be one. But what else is compelling about their business? So one thing that she mentioned, she goes, well, Oprah visited and she said one of their burritos they have is her favorite burrito. Right. We all know Oprah had her favorite things back in the day. And when you get on that list of favorite things, but she said, and I go, do you talk about that? Do you talk about Oprah liking one of your burritos? Do you have something in the store, the social media that says, hey, our carne asada burrito is Oprah's favorite burrito? And she never did. And now I see her in different chamber mixers and stuff. And she actually mentions Oprah's favorite burrito. So people are like, "Ooh, of course, I have to try that burrito that Oprah liked, right? There's a million burritos out there." So think about the different things that that are unique to you and your business and that are really different. Example, think of the wine industry. And I know in Washington State, you have, I think, a lot of wine, hundreds and hundreds of wineries. Here in California, we have about 5,000 wineries across the country. Every state has a winery. Here in, we're in Central Coast, where I just moved from, they have almost 300 wineries with 300,000 residents there. But you can imagine, even in Washington State, if you go to your little wine country areas, I'm sure there's no other industry in the world that I can think of where you have that many direct competitors in your backyard, literally in your backyard. Like you can walk down the street or across the street or drive a few blocks and then there's more wineries. So how do they distinguish themselves from their neighbors that sell exactly the same product, slightly different variations on varietals? Juice is juice, everybody's taste is different, and you might like somebody's Merlot or somebody else's Merlot, right? So how can the wineries differentiate themselves from their very nearby neighbors? And of course, competing with the grocery stores and the stores that sell wine. What can make them different? It's not like, oh, we have great wine or we have great customer service or great tasting room. What else was happening? We offer zip lining through the vineyards. We have free pizza night. It's like, what else can they do to make them unique, have a unique selling proposition for what they do? So you think about with unique selling propositions, come up with something that would, distinguish you from your competitors and other businesses that might compete with for your dollars, right? So the next step, what is your story, your branding, your messaging, right? And why is that important? Why do you need to have a brand story? Well, it sets you apart. Without one, you're just another business or a commodity, right? And a connection means loyalty to your service or products, right? And people, when they know you and your story, they like you, right? Know, like, and trust. That's what marketing's about, right? They want not all products, we don't make a connection, maybe our Head and Shoulder shampoo and know who made it, and all that. But most of us here are probably small business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. And people do want to connect with you. They want, why did you do this business? What did you just drop out of the sky and decide to own a winery or run a restaurant or whatever the business is? Tell them about you and your story, and what sets you apart from your competitors, that unique selling proposition. So when they know you, they can connect with you, right? They keep you loyal. And that's one of the things going back to the wine industry example, right? I have winery clients and, they have, again, competitors literally can walk down the road, down their driveway and walk across the two-lane little road and hit another two wineries, right? So why them? Why do they keep driving up their driveway? It's the people. They've connected with people and it's family now. It's not just they have nice wine, but it's the people there as well that make them come back, to their family. So making sure, also remembering everything you do crafts your story. Every time you communicate with your customers, it's telling your story. So your social media, your email, your website, your van with your logo on it, your uniforms, every touch point, your marketing materials, every touch point you have with your customer tells your story. So is it telling the right story? And is it telling a consistent story, right? You want to be consistent across all of the platforms, right? Confused buyers do not buy. So you want to make sure that everything you do crafts your story in the correct way and in a consistent way, right? And of course, you always want to tell the truth, right? So once you have your branding visuals, right, marketing materials, make sure you have good photos. Get photos of your product. If it's you, have good branding photos and videos of you. So you have assets to create marketing materials, whether it's social media, your flyers, whatever, emails, marketing materials, that you want to make sure that you have great brand visuals. I'm sure you learned in the social media session how important that is to have good content, right? And there's plenty of stock content, but this example here is all of the particular winery, their location, their owners, their bottles, right? And we have plenty of assets to create different social media posts and emails and all that. So you want to make sure that's part of your branding, is to make sure you have good, consistent visuals across the board. And then tactics, I skipped the channels part, the number 5 on the strategy circle. We're going to talk briefly about that after I finish the marketing plan, because I do want to make sure that you know about email marketing, because I know you learned about social media. But tactics is the next one, number 6 on there, right? So how will your marketing strategy be implemented? What do you have a plan in place, right? Are you doing it as the owner? Are you doing your marketing and wear all the other hats that you probably wear? Run the company, do the accounting, hire people, right? Feed the dog, right? Do you need a team? Can you hire internally, or do you want to hire an outside agency, to do it? And what tools will you need to do it? There are tools that we all need to run, our tools to create the graphics. You need maybe publishing tools, accounting software, whatever you need. Figure all of that out, right? And make sure you have all those tactics in place, right? And one of those, budget, right? Figuring out a budget of how much all this is going to cost, and it's something as simple as, here's just an example of a spreadsheet. Now, you might not do all of these, but you want to lay out all of your hard costs, all your advertising costs, public relations. How much are you spending on social media? Or how much are you spending on your staff? And make sure you have the right staff in place. Now, I was just talking to a winery here locally, and they keep hiring the wrong person to their social media, to try to save money, right? And they're not, they don't want to hire me, right? Yet with 17 years of experience, but they hire somebody who's fairly new in the industry in social media and is a little bit cheaper, right? And learned a lesson there that didn't work, didn't get what the quality that they wanted. And now, well, we just hired somebody to staff our tasting room, and we're going to try her out and have her try doing social media. So doubling up on a job that she'll probably be busy in the tasting room and won't have that time for social media, but also doing it right now in a busy holiday time. This isn't a time to be experimenting. So making sure you have the right person in place to do it, who knows how to do it, knows the marketing strategy, knows how to implement it, and is not experimenting and learning it new, and not you. And if you don't have the time or inclination to get it done, you won't get it done. So making sure you have that as part of your marketing budget as well. And so having a budget in place, having all that plan in place, and knowing what money, and don't wait to make money to have money for marketing. You really should be, because marketing is going to bring you money, right? You need to spend money to make money. So make sure you plan in your budget, your marketing ahead of time. Don't wait to make money to have it. So, because it will help you, and you won't get much done if you're just putting a meager budget towards your marketing plan, right? And then measuring, of course, always measuring and optimizing. You always want to look under the hood, because, as I remember from the beginning here, you don't want to throw the spaghetti on the wall, and you don't want to spray and pray, right? Because all those holes are your time and money. So if you really are looking under the hood to make sure that you are doing the right things at the right time in the right places, and they're actually working, right? So what do you typically measure when you're looking at your marketing measurements, right? Content marketing, you're looking at downloads and how many views, number of prospects or leads or opportunities that you're getting. Your website, you're looking at, is anybody coming to your website, right? What are your conversion rates? If you have a shopping cart, or leads generating, are people converting, right? Visitors and sales, you should be tracking all of that. Google Analytics, right? If you're doing search engine marketing or pay-per-click marketing, like Google ads and social media ads, number of leads you're getting, your cost per click or cost per lead, and conversion. How many sales are you getting, right? Social media, maybe they talked about this in today's social media dragon slaying session. How many leads, your follower growth, your engagement rate, right? And your referrals, very important. How many people are actually engaged? And it's great if you have 10,000 followers, but are they converting? Again, conversion, that's the other C word after consistency, right? Are they actually doing anything? Are they purchasing? Are they visiting? Whatever your call to action is, right? Email marketing, the same, right? You want to look at number of subscribers. And then when you send out your emails, open rates, click-through rates, the number of clicks, conversion, again, conversion rates. Is the email generating any business, right? I give you some examples of this. I work with well, not work, I'm on the board of the local chapter of this women's organization called NAWBO. And I'm currently the immediate past president of that. And we just brought on a social media company, one of our fellow NAWBO sisters. And the ladies, and being a marketing person myself, they're all excited. Like, since we've hired them, rather than having a volunteer do it, they're like, oh, we're getting more, clicks or likes on our social media posts and all that. And they're thinking that it's generating more excitement and maybe more membership. I'm like, but is it really? Have we looked under the hood? Just because we've had a few more likes or a couple more comments on social media, is it actually translating to anything? So I'm the one looking under the hood and like, well, what is Google Analytics showing? What are our Facebook insights and Instagram analytics and all that really showing? It's great to have those clicks and followers, but are they ever really going to do anything with you, right? Otherwise, what's kind of the point, right? So again, you want to be tracking all of this, set some benchmarks, right? Have a starting point and say, okay, well, if you haven't started tracking now, just start with October, maybe go back through September if you can, go back and measure and set those numbers. So, like, well, how many followers did we have last month? How many did we gain? And looking at your website traffic, how many more followers and, people coming in, how many more sales? When you sent out emails, what happened with those emails for each one. You don't have to necessarily go monthly with emails, but you do want to track all of that, right? So here are different places that you look under the hood, right? Google Analytics, make sure you have that installed on your website. And make sure it's working, and you should be looking at it. Great. It's nice that somebody, maybe your web person, installed your tracking code on there. But if nobody's looking at it and looking under the hood, there's so much valuable information on Google Analytics. It's there for free if you look, right? Who's visiting your site, new versus returning visitors, how long they're spending on your site, which is called a bounce rate. Right. So if they come into your front door of your website, they peek around and they immediately turn around, that's a really high bounce rate. The lower the bounce rate, the better, because this way they're staying on your site. How long are they spending on your site? How many pages did they view? Right. You can look and see if they're coming in via mobile device, what websites referred traffic to you, and even some search queries. What search terms are they using? So that's just a scratch of the surface of information you can get off of Google Analytics. Where in the country, in the world are they dialing in? You can even hook up demographics and all that. So tons of information there for you to look at for free. I'm a metrics nut. So in addition to doing the creative stuff, the fun stuff, I like looking at the numbers to see what's going on, because I need to know what's working, So my customers, my clients want to know what's working. Look at your Facebook insights, lots of information there. Who's visiting, when they're visiting, what they're reacting, engaging with, as far as your posts, so a lot of great information on Facebook, Twitter analytics, Instagram analytics, Pinterest, YouTube, all of those have great analytics and reporting for you to look at. So I know it's a lot to think about for your business, but definitely take a look at all that, or hire somebody who will take a look at it and benchmark it for you, and make sure you do have some goals. When you're setting your goals, you're like, well, we typically get 1,000 visitors to our website a month. Let's see if we can increase that. And where, and make sure that if you do have Google Analytics installed, which you should, check your website, make sure it's installed, and you know how to access your Google Analytics account and look at your reporting. Make sure you are checking all of that. It's so important, because if you don't know what's working, so check all those analytics and set those benchmarks and look at your goals so it's actually working. So hopefully that all makes sense. And if you need to bring somebody in to do that for you, bring them in, somebody who understands all those numbers, because that's all important information to know. Again, your dollars and cents, right? Your dollars and your time. So Email marketing, switching gears on the marketing plan. I definitely want to talk about email marketing because I saw that it wasn't in the sessions, and I know you had talked about social media, you talked about, Google and Amazon and all that, but the most important tool for marketing out there is email marketing. So I wanted to make sure that was included in the session. So I did say I was going to speak about it because it is so important of a tool. As you can see here, I usually call this my drop the mic slide. And because I can just say this stat and drop the mic and walk away and hope that you listen, right? So for every $1 spent on email marketing, there's an average of a $40 return on investment. Now, this stat has not changed. That's from the Direct Marketing Association, DMA. That hasn't changed for years. It generally between $38 and $44. It's ranged over the years, but that hasn't changed for years. It is always the number one tool. Now, you might not get $40 return on investment, but if you're doing zero right now, even $10 return, $20, to more than 2,000% ROI on that, right? Even $1 or $2 is going to double your money, triple your money. So compare it to social media. Social media is generally about half of that, $18 per $1 spent in general, 18 to 20, so a little less than half return on investment. So if you're currently spending all your time on social media, I tell everybody flip the script and start doing your email marketing, right? And do both, but make sure you're focusing and getting that, especially as we're coming into the holidays, right? Email marketing is going to bring in those sales. Social media, again, I don't know what you learned in the previous session if you attended it. Social media is a slow burn, right? If you're just starting off now, hitting those numbers aren't going to necessarily happen unless you spend money on ads. And even that can be a little risky in comparison. So even if you have a small list, if you've been collecting it, right, you want to send out those emails and be consistent with it, right? So just a little bit about email marketing here, right? How often do consumers want to hear from you? Now, a lot of you don't believe this. People are like, oh, people don't want to be annoyed by emails. I get a million emails, but they want to hear from you. Look at this, at least monthly, mostly, or at least weekly. 59% of consumers, in fact, 49% stat, want to hear from their favorite brands on a weekly basis. And you're their favorite brand if they signed up on your list, right? So if they actually physically joined your list, they want to hear from you. And half of them at least want to hear from you weekly. Right. So I repeat that over and over again because there's so many skeptics out there. They do want to hear from you on a weekly basis. I hear, oh, I don't want to annoy them and send too many emails. Most of you are probably not even slightly irritating yet. So don't worry about sending too many emails unless you're sending them out, 5 times a day, every single day of the week. Most of you are probably not even doing the monthly or weekly at this point, maybe quarterly or annually. Maybe you're going to start kicking it up a notch because it's October, November, December, and you're not consistent the rest of the year, right? Remember that word consistency. You need to be telling your story. You're selling your business or product over and over and over again throughout the year, right? So they do want an email from you, and weekly and quarterly is fine. Now, people ramp up their emails in the holiday and maybe send it every day, right? You're going to have a lot of competitors for the email and for people's, eyeballs. But this is where you're going to get the best return on investment is through email marketing. And they do want to hear from you, right? And again, this is where they want to be contacted in comparison. Now, you can see here, social media is not too far off from here, but it is still always in comparison to other, direct mail, live chat, phone calls. People are not really keen on phone calls. We don't want to have to pick up our phone and get, somebody selling something to us. But email marketing has always been the number one tool out there. So you do want to make sure that you are utilizing that. And here's a couple more quick stats on here. So think about it. Now, you might have learned this in the social media session, but 90% of emails get delivered to intended recipients' box, right? The other 10% might be spam, bounce, something happened to it. But generally about 90%. Now, the person still has to open it, but it's there sitting in their box waiting for them to open it, or not open it. But with social media, especially Facebook, only about 2% of your fans, your likers, will see your post. Organic reach is about 1 to 3%. So yes, it's on their feed and it scrolls by. If they're not online, they don't see it if they scroll back. But think about that. Only 2%. And why is that? Just tell you briefly. Again, just might repeat something you already learned, but think about Facebook, right? Different than all the other social media platforms out there. There are two reasons that they throttle it back only to 2% reach these days. One, they need to make money, right? They want to sell advertising. So they want you to pay to play. The other reason, if you think about Facebook and how it works, you have your profile, so you have your friends. You also might like pages, right? Like you have a business page, and then you also are in groups. So unique to other platforms where you don't have groups and pages like on Instagram, right? On LinkedIn or Snapchat or whatever. Facebook has multiple places of content, right? So say I had 1,000 friends and I liked 50 pages and I'm in 25 groups. Now, can you imagine if all 1,000 of my friends, or most of them, were active on a daily basis, all of my pages posted every day, right? And my groups, there's a lot of people in the groups, there's a lot of chat going on. Can you imagine what your Facebook feed would look like on a daily basis if they showed all of that content, right? It would be a fast moving freight train of content that you couldn't keep up with. So Facebook says, well, we need to slow the freight train down. How do we do it? So they have algorithms. We've all heard that before, where they say, well, what's the most important content to you? What are you most engaged with? Right? And engagement means you actually are clicking on something. So you like it, you comment, you share it, right? It's the only way they know if you're engaged. You have to click on it for them to, their algorithm to work. You can't just like eyeball it, at least not yet, right? And say, oh, yes, your friend's cute kitten video, like, great, okay, it's cool. And you just scroll by, you don't hit the like button. So your friends that you don't kind of engage with are going to kind of start disappearing, right? That's why it might appear if you're on Facebook that you only have like 20 friends that you engage with. It's because those are the ones that keep engaging. Same with your page. You might see the same fans, likers, commenting and sharing because they always comment and share. So they're going to keep seeing your content because Facebook sees that they like your content, right? So that's what the difference is with email and social media. Email is going to get in that box and it's going to stay there, and hopefully they eventually open it or they have a preview open of it and they're interested. Where social media, most of them are going to miss your one post you do a week. So I'm sure they told you you should be posting on a regular basis, daily if you can, at least 5 days a week, not once a month or when you remember to post, be consistent. So, and as you see here, 72% of people prefer to receive promotional content through email compared to social media. So definitely flip that script if you are focusing mostly on social media and not so much on email marketing, right? So what are you tracking, right? These are my 3 C's. I don't go into depth here because of timing, but just briefly, this basics to remember for email marketing. Collect. Always be collecting. ABC. Remember that mantra. ABC. Always be collecting. Collect at any touch point you have with your potential customers. Networking opportunities on your website. Do you have an email sign up on your website? On your social media, do you encourage signups there? Right? Any events? Are you gathering for events at your store if you have a storefront? Do you have a mechanism for them easily to sign up? Whether you're collecting it through your POS system, you have a kiosk with an iPad out, you have a sign up form, fill a pen and paper, collect, right? Build those lists. Make sure you ask permission if you collect business cards and just say, would you like to be on my list, right? Clean, I'm not going to go clean. I'll do that one last. You create great content, right? Create those emails, create content that they want to open. Don't just do one long, boring newsletter that's too long to read when you're on your mobile phone. Be educational and be promotional, right? Got to create great content. Calendar, my most important C. This is where most of you get stuck and overwhelmed. I know it. I feel it. I've seen it, right? I have a content calendar. It's very easy to use. You can combine your social media, your email, your blogging on it. If you're interested, it's an Excel file. I offer it for free. I don't go into detail in this class about how it works, but it's pretty easy to use. I can provide the 2021 and I have the brand new 2022 ready to go. If you are interested, drop your email in the chat and I will be sure to grab it and send you my email calendars. Use something. whether you use my simple to use email, Excel, or Excel format, client color coded. Again, you can coordinate your social media. I have hashtag days on there, content ideas, holidays, those fun holiday, like, National Donut Day and National Bring Your Kit to Work Day, all are on there for you to use for content ideas. Again, just drop your email in the chat and I will grab that and send you the calendars. But get a calendar together, because once you get it all on paper and see all of the things that you have to email, social media, it will be easier. Get it out of your head. Trust me, you'll have content once you lay it out, right? Again, consistency, being consistent with your email, just like with your social media, that people want to hear from you. Remember, remember that stat? Clean your list, not the sexiest part of all of this, but you want to make sure to keep your list clean. When you have bounces, you can check for obvious bounces, like they spelled Gmail wrong, or they put sbcglobal.com instead of .net. Those obvious typos, because all of those people that are bouncing are potential customers. So you might be able to clean some of those. You want to keep your list clean, check for spam keywords as well. Make sure people are getting them, and clean out the dead weight. If people are not engaging with you at all, it lowers your open rates and click-through rates the more dead weight you have. You don't want to keep bouncing, but you also do want to check. Another thing with cleaning is you also want to make sure that are you doing the right things to engage them, right? Can you raise the dead, so to speak? Maybe you're sending the wrong offers to the wrong people. I had a client that did that. It was a winery-based client, and they kept sending offers on a weekly basis that were $500 plus for cases of French wine. And they had a lot of customers that had purchased years ago that never purchased above $300. So they were sending the wrong information to the wrong people. So we just said, hey, let's start sending $300 offers, and we literally raised the debt. So before you remove the dead weight and think, oh, they haven't purchased for 2 years, check and see, look under the hood, see their average order value from before. Did we only start sending red wine offers and they only ever purchase white? If you stop speaking to them, they're going to stop listening. They're going to tune out. So really look under the hood, and again, clean the list, be creative, collect that information. Calendar, most important. If you want mine again, just free calendar, and you'll stay on my list for all future calendars as well if you want that. Create compelling offers and content for them to be excited about opening your emails, right? So again, email marketing, remember, for every $1 spent on email marketing, there's an average of a $40 return on investment. That's how important email is, right? So what are your next steps? Now that you've learned all of this great digital marketing stuff today, and hope you took lots of notes, and I'm sure they'll get the recordings and all of that. Hopefully you learned a lot, but what do you need now to create a marketing plan so that you can execute on all of this great stuff that you learned today, right? Can you do it yourself, or do you need help? Right? And figure that out. Really look at, if you're doing all of your your accounting and running the front desk and trying to do your marketing, can you, or should you, crunch those numbers? Your time and is valuable as well. Even if you're not paying yourself, you probably are worth more in an hourly rate than you would hiring somebody to do your accounting and your marketing and all the janitorial and all the other stuff that you're probably trying to wear that hat. So figure that out as part of your marketing plan. And imagine what it would mean for your business if a plan was in place, right? So, and are you budgeting for marketing or waiting to make money to have a marketing budget? Very important. You should budget for marketing, right? Because that's going to hopefully bring you more money, and have that plan in place, right? So that you can consistently execute on a marketing plan, right? So if you're interested, I'm offering everybody who's attending today a free 30-minute strategy call. You can go to callwithpatty.com, or if you want to quickly scan here, this QR code will take you right to my calendar. And you can ask any questions you want about your marketing. Love talking to any SCORE attendees of any classes and business owners. So happy to help you with any aspect of your marketing. No obligation to do anything with me at all, but you do get that free 30-minute marketing strategy call. I'm happy to help you. So I hope this helped. In summary, have that marketing plan in place. Don't be that spray and pray or the spaghetti on the wall business owner. Get all those steps in place. Be consistent. Again, be consistent with your marketing and your planning. If you can't personally get it done yourself, hire somebody that can get it done in any aspect of your business, right? Get that calendar going for your social media and your email and any other aspect of your marketing. So very important. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed your marketing sessions today and have some great takeaways. And I appreciate your listening time and hope you learned a little something about marketing and email marketing. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.